Good afternoon from Central Virginia. Well, it's early March, and I have been cleaning up the last couple of my beds in my lower garden, my main garden, that I didn't get to in the fall. The reason I didn't get to them in the fall was twofold. One, I ran out of time, and two, this particular bed that I'm going to work on today and show you how to refurb. I had brassicas growing. I had Brussels sprouts growing that I actually finished picking in mid-February of all things. So this bed has been pretty darn productive. And I have been in the process of transitioning this particular bed. I made another video about this, transitioning this particular bed from a double dug bed, a dug bed that I made, I guess this is now going into its 5th season. But in seasons 2, 3, 4, and now I have been transitioning it to a no-dig bed, mainly because the clay is so hard in this area. And even after 5 years of gardening in it and adding more and more and more organic matter, I still get those huge hard clumps of Virginia red clay, which is why we have so many red brick buildings in Central Virginia. You can see I still have a few things growing in here. I pulled these Brussels sprouts in February when I finished picking them, and I left them here just so that there would be something on top of this soil. I didn't want it to be completely bare, and I didn't have time to mulch over it. So one of the first things I'm going to do is remove all of this. This particular bed is it's about 4 feet wide, and this part of it is approximately I guess maybe 10 feet long, and you can see that I still have a few things growing in it. First things first will be just to pull out these remaining, these are broccolis. Those are just going to go into the compost. This is also the time that I'm going to go through and pull out any grass clumps or any other weeds that were in here. I'll clear off this mulch. I might add it back on top. Here's a weed. Here's a weed. Get them out by the roots. The roots. Hello, beautiful arugula. Nothing like cleaning up your garden and having a good lunch feast. I'm not going to dig this. I might aerate it a little bit with my garden fork, just because it's still transitioning from its earlier stage as a dug bed. Definitely want to pull out any weeds. Don't want to give them any advantage. No advantage for weeds. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to fork this ground just a little bit. I think it's getting pretty good and aerated. But this just continues to help to decompact that low soil. And there, if I have my broad fork, I do it, but so little to do. I'm just doing it as is. This is so much better than it was even last year. Transitioning it to a no-dig system, I think, is doing wonders for this soil. So I'm just loosening this up just a little, and then we're going to come along and put some fertilizer in because I didn't have a chance to get its full treatment over the winter. I have a lot of videos on my no-dig playlist, particularly you can check out on how I prepare my beds for the winter. Gorgeous earthworm is just growing along. That tells me soil chimps are definitely at the plantable stage. Next thing I'm going to do is just put some organic granular fertilizer down. Now, when you go to the store, they're going to tell you all sorts of things. You're going to see a gazillion kinds of fertilizers, and it's going to be specialized. It's going to be garden tone and plant tone and flower tone and berry tone and holly tone. Basically, you can ignore that. That is just the degree of N, P, and K that is in each. As long as you've got some of each and each, some nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus in each, you're going to be okay. This is technically flower tone, and it's a 3, 4, 5 NPK. So I'm just sprinkling this over. I would have done this, I usually add a little bit of organic fertilizer, organic granular to my beds in the fall, but I just didn't get around to it this year because of those various things. Now this is just a bagged compost. It's a wonderful organic compost that's made here locally in Virginia called Panorama Pay Dirt. They are quite awesome. And I use their stuff. And I also obviously have my own, but my own is not quite ready to use yet. I don't need a huge layer over top of this. I just want a layer. So I'm going to spread it out well. We're adding any kind of organic matter and things that you can add into your soil. All the better. All the better to grow. All right, spread it on out. Okay, the last thing that goes on is the hay mulch. This is a rotten hay. It's been, this was hay that was delivered in the fall by one of my hay people named Andy. And he was kind enough to deliver it down here. And it's a nice hay. I use hay because it breaks down easily. It's nutritious, helps to feed the soil organisms. And I think it makes a lovely mulch. I will use it all during the summer as well, but this layer is really on there to protect the soil from the sun and degradation. And, you know, the worms and things will also work on it. You see how gloppy it gets? That's a good sign. It's rotting down. It's basically turning into a type of compost, which is all right by me. I've been using hay in my garden now for years. It's not like I've been gardening forever, but this is my 6th year down here in this garden. And the hay has really been a great asset, I think. These worms are going to go gaga for this. You want to break it up a little. It's more effective when it's a little bit clumped up like that. I leave the hay out to weather, which of course, if you were feeding it to animals, you would never do. But this is not food for animals. This is food for my garden. A different beast, you might say. I'll order in hay in the spring if I can get it, and then I let it sit out through the summer, use it in the fall. Then I order more hay, try to get it in the fall, and I let it sit out for the winter for just what I'm doing now and for my summer mulch. Andy, like all my hay suppliers, when you are buying any kind of hay or straw or anything like that, be super, super careful and question the producer. You do not want anybody who has ever sprayed any kind of herbicide on their hay fields. And that is done to keep unwanted plants from growing. But that kind of stuff, it's persistent, stays in for a long time. And, you know, I'm not convinced it's great for animals to have to ingest it. And it's certainly not good if it ends up in your garden, because it can kill your garden. That's as simple as that. It can kill your garden because it's a pesticide, it's an herbicide. So I just am really cautious about who I buy my hay and straw from. I question them, and you know, I explain why, and they get it. And generally speaking, everybody that I've bought hay from has been very honest about that. I'm noticing even in the hay, there's worms have been in there working on it, so coming up through the bales is awesome.
Whoops, I left without saying goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. Happy gardening. Bye.